everyone. Welcome back to Potty Mouth Chilli Special. I'm not sure if it's number 3 or number 4. JB, what are we on with Chilli Specials?
Number 2. It's got to be number 2, right?
Number 2 this year, I guess.
Number 2 this year.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean since ever?
From dawn of time.
Who knows?
Dawn of time. Are you well? Are you good?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes.
Oh, lovely.
This week at work has calmed down a little bit. It's been 3 weeks of absolute mania. But it's looking a bit more balanced and calm this week, so I'm very happy. It's also gorgeous outside today.
It has been. I mean, we've had the rain from like the biblical times, but today I took the dogs out, and it was almost as if, you know what I mean, the sun was coming up, the blue sky. It was about 7 in the morning. It was gorgeous. So
nice.
Yes. Well, it's lovely to have you, JB. Jess. And as we can see there with a spelling mistake, it's Miss Jesso we'll have on it here.
I didn't see that.
Mind Jess, when we're in the kind of little potty, our little WhatsApp, your kind of spell check or whatever, like autocorrect is the best thing ever.
I don't know why I have so much confidence in it. I just type it and push send and then check it.
Then check. Oh, right. You've always got to put the offending word underneath. But Jess, lovely to have you. Thank you. Audrey, always a pleasure. Never a chore.
Good to be here. Good to see you all. And I just want to say, let's give Jessie some wiggle room because she was really hungry. So it's easy to make when you're hangry. You can make spelling mistakes.
That's
so. Yeah,
I'm surprised it's even got a J, an E, and 2 S's.
So I think we need to cut her some slack.
Mind you, that does affect me. Mind you, when I'm hungry and tired, it's just I'm like a bear with a sore paw. You know what I mean? I'm just terrible. I've got to have something. I've got to have a little. I've had, as well as we've been talking, I had a little bit of cheese. My wife's making the nicest cheesecake, mother chucker. But afterwards, I had to jump on the bed and set the alarm for 10 minutes. And I've just had like a little 10 minutes. It's the pressure of this. It's the pressure, the high pressure of this.
Miniature food coma.
Yes. Chilies then, JB. It's our favourite kind of topic, chilies.
Oh, yes, indeed.
So you just showed there a second ago. Show us it again. Look at this.
Woo!
There it is.
Man.
One of my good ones.
Like an average one, or is that a real...
No, this is one of the better ones, to be fair. This is one of my Chinen's varieties. So the slower growing ones. Oh, look. And we've got a California Wonder, a sweet pepper, which is also doing pretty well. But yeah, these are some of the better ones. But they all look pretty much like this.
Right.
Pretty happy this year.
Mine are nowhere near like that, but I want to just show you this one, JB. This is, how do you pronounce this? This Bertologa one?
Bertologia.
Yeah. Right, okay, where's the camera?
Oh, that's sweet.
You mean?
He looks
that's
great,
the best
though.
one.
Come on, that's a good-looking pepper. He's
that
just
is a
tiny.
good thing, you, Audrey.
Yeah, that'll be fine. He'll be fine.
A baby.
Yeah, it's just a baby pepper.
But as you can see there, 4th of January.
Oh, dear.
Do you know what I mean? So... And I did what you said, JB, because you were saying, it might be the pot.
It was in a massive pot, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, any pot's massive for that plant.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, but even the other ones, mind you, aren't like that one there just looks...
This is because it's a Chinen's, they have the fat, broad leaves. So they do look a bit more impressive. That's why I picked this one.
I mean, that's very kind of you, but that does not explain the difference between yours and mine.
I guess ours are quite similar, actually. We're both in silver grow, aren't we, Jessie? So
where's my biggest one? Come on.
A little show and tell.
By big boy, I mean a lot smaller than yours.
When did you sow yours? So mine was sown on January 6th. These ones.
Well, that's a nice looking pepper too. That's nice.
Is that patronising, Audrey?
No, it's not.
It looks healthy.
It's lovely. Yes, it's lovely.
I mean, look at it. It's got 4 leaves, true leaves, or two.
It has got 4 leaves.
See, once they get their true leaves, they just need a minute. They'll get going.
You hear that?
mine's actually like yours, Jess. Most of them are kind of like that. You know what I mean? So, but
when was it sown, Jessie?
So I sowed them on the 1st of January, but I didn't water them for a week. So
that's right. Yes, I remember.
I think it was about the 8th or the 9th that I actually set them off.
So, is that something that you do often, where you can kind of put your seeds into dryish compost and just give it, or was it just a pure mistake?
It wasn't so much a mistake. It was overwhelming excitement for it being the 1st of January, but not having had anything set up. So I was desperate to sow them, but then realised after I'd sown them that if they start popping up, I am completely incapable of looking after them. So I had to go and get all the lights down and set the thing up before I watered them, just in case they were quick germinators. That was also optimistic of me, but so
mine were quick to germinate as well. So 6th of January sown, and pretty much most of them were up by the 12th of January. So kind of
all of the ones that you gave me, JB, they all came up really quick. Those ones and the one that I got from Grown Local from Ian, they came up really fast. My own saved seed are still this big, and they've only really just started showing up now.
So did you guys do the tea soak?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just curious.
None of us. Yeah.
No.
I think so. I was using fresh seed for 90% of the varieties that I'm doing this year. So the tea soak really helps with the older varieties. It does help with new varieties if you're looking for quick germination. But I've never found it really necessary to do the tea soak.
Okay, just curious. Now, what was the big one? What was the variety of the big one?
This one is the Hainan Yellow Lantern, which is similar to a kind of habanero type.
See, I've got them, JB.
It's a good colour, isn't it? It's nice.
Man,
nice
it's gorgeous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. So they've just been in that room there with, I guess, the lid's been off. You've had some light. Is the propagator heat coming up as well, or?
Nope. So all of this is explained in my chili pepper growing guide. If people haven't seen that, I've been doing specific videos. Little plug. We're up to number 3. So these have just been potted on. What was it? Maybe 6 days ago, and they've really hit the ground running. So as soon as I potted them on into these 3-inch pots, they've just been flying. But sown on the 6th. As soon as they came up, it was around the kind of 15th, 16th that I took the dome off. And then switched over to the shot glass method for the individual cells that weren't germinating. It's probably about kind of maybe 30% that needed shot glasses, and then pretty much heat off, because this room is our nice cozy office. It's generally around 19, 21 degrees Celsius. And they've just loved it. They've just really, really taken off this year. I've never seen them grow this quick.
What date was it that you first started injecting the steroids into them?
I did that when they were seeds. I got the syringe out and put it in the seeds.
You're in there every night,
JB, is there? I'm just trying to kind of, please myself though. Is there a bit where it's too good to be true? You know what I mean? Could they get out of
yes,
they're going too good, and then you've got to keep them here till April?
Yes, there is that. There is sort of I'm mostly looking at them and going, wow. Look at that. It looks amazing. But these in April are going to be a bit scary. So in the episode I just did about potting on, I was saying that generally you're aiming for about every 6 weeks you kind of pot them up. So I'm going to be looking at doing this middle of March, kind of early April, into 1 litre pots. And I don't have room for all of these in 1 litre pots. So it's going to get a little bit spicy, a little bit interesting. There's going to be a lot of maneuvering around the office and maybe into the conservatory and that kind of thing. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it,
Well, just don't take them down to the allotment. Okay, that makes me crazy. Between you and Tony, you take stuff down.
Too keen, Audrey.
I know. It just makes me cry. I yell at the screen.
Well, it's funny, mind you, Audrey, I'm going to be in the kind of predicament, even though mine are, do you know what I mean? That size because of the flowers. So in that little greenhouse, there's going to be now flowers away, which I haven't actually started yet. But there's going to be tomatoes and chilies. That's a whole juggling ball game in itself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Audrey, then what's your? Have you got them through? Are they like ours, or are they more like
mine are still in the packet? I don't sow till this week.
Right.
So, I was going to hold up a packet and go, here's how mine are doing. So I'm only 3 days later than I was last year. So I'm right on schedule.
Right.
Otherwise, seriously, I cannot keep them in my home. They get so big, and they still will get so big by the time I'm putting them out. So, yeah, looks like a greenhouse. But the whole house does.
There's plenty.
We have clamp-on lights like everywhere to keep them lit. It's luckily my husband is a very kind man, and he goes right with it. And
you do need that.
Yeah, he accommodates my obsession, and I love that.
Mine, JB, I've had a couple of people mention about the lights you've got, the arm ones, and the ones I got, but because I says I wanted it on for timer. Apparently, that timer, I don't know if I'm reading it right, but there's a few folks said you press the 12-hour one, and it'll just keep repeating.
And then you just leave it on at the plug.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it'll knock off and then start, which I could have lived with. You know what I mean. I could have kind of kept it, but I just sent it kind of back to.
Yeah, mine. I just kind of I've got like everything plugged into a gang plug. So we just flip it off at the wall and flip it back on in the morning. And
whatever, honestly, whatever you're doing there, it's working. Do you know what I mean? It's just
I wish I don't really know.
I wish I knew what it was.
Yeah, it's not one particular thing. One thing that is worth mentioning is that they've not been fed. I've not given them any fertilizer or anything like that. There's some blood, fish, and bone that went in when I potted up into the 3-inch pots, but it's mainly just temperature and getting the light right this year. I've often, I think, like fried them with too much high-powered light, and this year it just seems to have got them just right.
I was going to ask you, JB, because I used like just normally kind of compost when I was sowing them. I didn't get me silver grow. I use all with your silver grow, like Jess as well. When you showed you up, are you doing your perlite vermiculite mix yet, or is that just for the last one, the last stage?
So this stage, when I went into the 3-inch pots, is when I did my first batch of potting mix. When I did my seeds, it's really just to get them germinated and just started. So I just did those in straight compost, nothing else, just silver grow.
Right. So, well, it's not that then. That's why mine has. So, I thought I could have kind of nailed it. With that's in. Right. That's what I should have done. But
I think for you, it's probably temperature. I think
it's like it's lovely. In honestly, I've got. It's like I go in there to keep warm when the house is cold. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of. I love it though. That's probably the thing with chilies. You know what I mean? You never know. And, to some degree you're going to get a chili, but it's always this kind of roller coaster ride. I mean, like I say, last year, JB, it was, it was a little bit up and down for you at the very early stages.
Oh, yeah. It all went sideways last year. And that was mainly down to incorrect compost, I think. But, this year it's just flying true.
You can leave now, JB. Yeah. Thank you. We've had a,
thanks, so.
Goodbye. Jess, are you having any issues, or are you just kind of...
Yeah, I've just had to do a rescue mission on basically all of my chilies and aubergines because, I sewed them into those polystyrene trays.
Yes.
Which is fine, except that I didn't realise... So they're slightly like a different size to a normal seed tray. So they have their own like reservoir box that they sit in. And brilliantly, after however many, like 30 years of having them, all of the trays have developed a hole at the same time. So watering has been a real issue. Every time I have to water the seedlings, I have to take them out of this room, put them in the bath, water them, and then bring them all back in again. So I was just like, and they were getting really, really dry. And then I tried putting them in the other pots and they weren't meeting the water. So I lost about 5 or 6 plants just shriveled up and died, and I didn't catch them in time. So I've just done a complete rescue, and they're now in. Still not an easy setup, but they're now in these. So they're slightly bigger than the. Oh, I just tipped water over my laptop. Yes. These are like slightly bigger than the thing. I wouldn't normally obviously have a stage between the cell tray and here, but I've had to get them out of those because they're just causing so much havoc, and tipping water into the plug sockets and all that kind of stuff. So they've just been rescued and put. So is that
the polystyrenes are all finished there now? That's the last.
No, they'll be fine for like when I start sewing stuff up at the allotment, because you use, like the big greenhouse trays. So they just all sit in there then, and then it's fine. It's just at the moment we're like in this little limited space in the office, and they just don't have enough. I can't fit them in there basically. So they're just running water everywhere. So once they go into the big trays, they'll be absolutely fine. I'll use them again, but just got to remember not to do the early stuff in them.
Did you sew any of those ones that JB's, the yellow one that he's really good one? Did you show?
No.
Right. I just wanted to see somebody else with a little baby one.
These are mostly aubergines. Where am I?
That's a lot of aubergines. Wow.
I know.
That sure is. Wow.
I haven't done any yet, actually.
These are my peppers that had true leaves that went into the bigger pots. The Korean
pots. Are them, Jess? I'm speaking like an expert here. I'm certainly not. Are them pots not a little bit too big for that size? Yeah. Oh, good.
They are too big, but I was kind of a bit pressed on trying to rescue them out of the dry.
All right. So they've been rescued.
Big. I only put the biggest ones in these pots. Obviously, I'd like them to be. Well, I'd like them to be JB's size, but they're not going to be that.
Don't worry, I'm going to cut them off.
This is too small. I would never normally pop them up at this stage, but just it's like working out which is worse than just like frying and drying or too big.
No, I think that's the right thing to do. I had to do exactly the same thing last year, where my seedlings stalled in the cell trays. I just potted them up into fresh compost with a potting mix.
Yeah.
It just, it was the right thing to do.
Sometimes
you got to do it. Yeah. They were fine.
Okay. I won't cry myself to sleep over them tonight then.
Well, I think we should all compare these plants at the end of April and see what they look like, right?
Well, we were hoping to compare them today, Audrey, but somebody hasn't even sown hers yet.
Well, I asked what the topic was, and I was told we're just chatting about peppers, so I can chat about them all day long. I just haven't started them yet.
I've just sown. I just sowed some more yesterday, because of the dry issue. Like the ones that did come up, it came up really quick from the initial soaking, and then after that, it was just a struggle to keep them wet. So a lot of the other ones didn't come up. So yeah, I've just sowed a whole new load.
I know.
Yeah, we'll be getting. So this is quite enough aubergines.
Yeah. I know we'll be getting the question in the chat about whether or not it's too late to start your peppers, and it's definitely not. There's still loads of time. You can start them at the start of March, and even just around like the start of April if you're really pressed. So don't panic if you're seeing. I was going to pick it up again and show it again. It's like, no, stop.
I think I'm going to just go to
your ear or something like it's a.
I need to like put them away.
I'm gonna have a trip to the garden centre and buy one of theirs, and then just say, "Hey, look, it sprang up."
But isn't it hard, even those of us who seed everything, when you go to a garden center and you see one that looks so beautiful?
Oh,
it's hard to go. Yeah, I'm not buying that. Yeah, I am, and I'll find another place for it. It's hard.
Yeah.
I kind of walk out the shop without, if I see something, you know what I mean, even. Got to just get it. You know what I mean? Mind you, flipping there, I forgot all about them, to be honest, and they've been at the back of here. Remember when Tony O'Neill said he'd sown his celeriac? I did mine just kind of within a day or two, and they've just come up there now.
Blimey.
You know what I mean? I'm like, what? I forgot all about them. Do you know what I mean? And I've just went to shut the blinds so all this nice light in here, and I went, are them look at they've just come now. So
Wow.
I think even on a different level, celeriacs are right pig to get away there. So
They are the cutest seedlings, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are.
Little feather-like things, aren't they? They're just like so petite. Do you know what I mean?
They are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
Those are seeded for me, but not the peppers, because they take forever.
So I guess then, Audrey, I know we just said there, there's plenty of time, but you'll not be doing red hot ones because I thought you might have a shorter summer. Would that impact like red hot ones for you?
No, I think we have a shorter grow period, but we have a hotter one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And peppers love that. So I'm growing a habanero. That's probably the hottest I'm doing this year. Because I just love those. The flavor of those is just remarkable. But yeah, they'll be fine. Last year I had more than I could deal with, and I planted them just 3 days ahead of this today. So we'll be fine. If I plant them any earlier, I'm telling you, I'm getting peppers in the house.
Yeah.
I'm done picking off the blooms. So yeah, no, this is a good sweet spot for me.
I forgot to mention, when I think JB, I think it was you that foolishly said, "Oh, we should all try one on, like do live, eat one." And I thought, oh, so I swear to God, I just got one from Morrison's. I don't know what it is, but it just says red chili, right? And I was in the kitchen the other week, and I went, I'm gonna have to get prepped up for this. I took a bite. I swear to God, it nearly spoiled me whole day. And this is just like a supermarket chili. Do you know what I mean? Which is kind of probably one of the least hottest. I'm like, Jesus. I was drinking milk most of the day, and I nearly reached for ice cream. So I'm thinking, JB, there's no way I could take a bite of like a silly one, and like, I'll not even be able to see the stop button. Do you know
How
what I mean?
big a bite did you take?
Audrey, they're just like, they're not.
They're quite thin.
The really hot ones don't have to be that big.
Mm.
No, but do you just take a little at the end?
Well, it wasn't, honestly, I wasn't being silly or rash. It was just a normal, like, nibble, just to kind of, but it was just like, oh, Christ. You know what I mean? The ears flared up, the ears were red, my cheeks were on fire.
Hey, JB, could you see Tony on Hot Ones?
I'm practicing.
Wouldn't it be funny? I think you need to go be a guest on Hot Ones. Let's see how you do there.
Well, it's funny, I was going to buy that is it De Bomb sauce? Just to even try that.
That just looks. I have not heard anyone say it tastes like anything but hot sole of shoe. Like
sole of shoe, nice.
Yeah. So what's that's just not eating a good hot anything. That's
so
horrible.
Audrey, when you're saying there, then this is a great topic, mind you, is like the taste of a chili.
Yes.
Now, because the heat hits me first, and then the ones I've kind of had, I obviously haven't had I've grown a few ones, but it's always like the heat blocks out any, like, say, real flavor. JB's the one that can say, "Oh, it's a lovely flavor," before it always smacks me first before I missed it. I didn't taste it. Can we start again? You know what I mean? It's like that. So do you get the taste, Audrey, and then the heat comes, or can you just put up with the heat and enjoy the flavor?
Well, I don't sit down and like eat a habanero, but I do like it in a sauce or in things that I'm cooking because it has a lovely, it's just got a little citrus at the back. I mean, it's like those peach Sugar Rush peach. They're a hot pepper, but they have a lovely ending. Like it ends just smooth.
I think it's the other way round, Tony. It doesn't. It's not like that first taste. It's what you're left with at the end. I mean,
right.
Like I find you get the flavour of the chili if you're like it's a bit hot, and then I'm like left with a really lovely flavour.
Yeah, when you're
I like to say we kind of have hot curries and everything like that, but it's like I'm just talking about, say, having like a bite or having like and I was like, Steve wouldn't get past that, the too hot for us. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's probably a lot of people, like, I've tried, I cannot do heat. You know what I mean? But there obviously is a good flavour there.
maybe a way for you to test it is cook your curry one time using a pepper that you can tolerate, like a jalapeno, and then cook it the next time using a habanero, and see if you can taste the difference, because you probably will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Audrey. Too.
Yeah, I don't think you just sit down with a knife and fork and try them.
Yeah, tasting peppers raw takes a lot of kind of building up to it. You know, I'm kind of comfortable around 30,000.
Mamma mia!
Yeah, once you get much above that, it's quite challenging. You can still get a bit of flavor, but then there's going to be For me, it's about the length of the pain. You know, like if it's painful for a minute, it's like yes, that's a bit of fun. But if you're still feeling it like 15 minutes later from a super hot, that's not so much fun.
I mean, I think I've mentioned on here, you know, I did some white ghost once a few years ago, and I put one in a chili, and it just like the chili mix, you know, sauce, you know, chili con carne. It was just like, I mean, it wasn't like unbearable, but you certainly knew there was only one packed a hell of a punch in there. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm saying is though, even from a shop bought chili, you know what I mean? Like a nibble takes me out of the game.
I wonder if it was a Thai chili.
That's what I'm thinking, because he was talking about the size. I thought that sounds like a Thai chili.
Like narrow and pointy.
Yep.
I'm not sure what they're like, to be honest. I can't. It just didn't look like
too hot. He's forgotten.
To
scrambled his memory
out.
Yeah, you can. I mean, supermarkets they stock habaneros and stuff. You know, you might have just picked up a really spicy chili. Thai chilies generally can be between like 60 and 100,000 Scoville. So, you know, I can't really do a piri piri off the plant. They're normally around 60,000 plus, and they're just too hot. Like you don't get like much of a flavor you can enjoy raw. So some things are much better just cooking with, unless you've been eating raw peppers for a long time and built up your tolerance, and then you can start to taste some of the stuff behind it.
I'm growing piri piri, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I think it's a common one called Ring of Fire. I've got a few of them. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So hopefully everything goes.
That one makes me nervous.
Yes,
it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Just by the name, I'm like, the
name is like slightly. Gives it more of a reputation than it deserves. I think it's kind of it's like a cayenne. It's really sweet, it's really smoky, but it's about twice as hot as a cayenne. So that's perfect for sauces, because quite often if you make a cayenne based sauce, you use a lot of vinegar, like a buffalo sauce or a Louisiana style. So it dilutes it quite a lot. Whereas if you've got the Ring of Fire, it's just got a little bit more heat behind it, a little more punch, which I really like. I'm growing 5 Ring of Fire plants this year, which is very unusual for me. Normally I only do 1 or 2 of each plant. So Ring of Fire is a good favourite.
Everyone watch your Audrey, which will it be? Habanero, that'll be your hottest one?
At this point, I think so, but I have another day or two to figure that out. So I think I have my list ready, and habanero might be my hottest. Problem is, I have so many hot peppers that are dried or in the freezer waiting to be made into a hot sauce that I think, why am I growing more? I've not even used up what I have. So that's why I might be pulling the pedal back a little bit on hot and leaning into sweet and mild a little more. Because mild, for me, you can eat those right off the plant. So
it's not about just eating them, as me and JB. It's the challenge, Audrey. You know what I mean? And kind of with this little bloody thing there, there's a.
I think Audrey's got nothing to prove. That's the thing. She's had so many good years of growing and good years of peppers.
Well, actually, you know, JB, you know, I'll show it again. Someone mentioned in the comments that their Bergelo, is that how you pronounce it? Bergeloga?
But
Geloga was exactly the same, and because it's like I don't know if it's a super hot or, you know, really reasonably hot. It's the dudes are small and petite, or is that not the case?
Well, they do grow slowly. The super hots. This Heinen is like, it's not quite a super hot.
Put it down. We know what it looks like.
You gotta see it again. Just one more time. They are slightly slower growing, so generally people will germinate them a bit quicker. You know, they'll start them maybe a few weeks ahead of the other varieties. But once they get going, they're pretty good. They'll still be, if you look at the plants in September and compare a chinense and an annum, your annum is likely to be much, much bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Jess, is there anything you're looking forward to in this? I know just get it to the finish line, I guess. You know what I mean? But is there anything you're looking forward to on worrying about? Should I say?
I've got one of those boot Jolokia have germinated. I only sowed 2, and one of them has come up good. So I'm going to nurse that one. But in my re-sowing, actually, it was the last time we were discussing chilies. We were talking about the cayenne and what a nice dry pepper it makes. And I decided I wasn't doing any cayenne, but I was just about to put my dryer, what are they called? It's a
dehydrator.
Yeah, dehydrator away. And I hadn't emptied the bottom tray, and it had a load of green Brazilian starfish that hadn't ripened, but it also had the cayenne in there. And they made such beautiful dried peppers that I've actually just raced out and sown some of them, like changed my mind, because I don't think I've dried them in previous years, and this was just like the last
they're wonderful
load of stuff. And there's just something about them, like they're just so thin and perfect, but really hold their shape and their color and everything. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to them now, having previously decided they weren't a thing for me.
What made you just sow 2 Butcholokas in the first place then? Just and you've sown 60 to 70 aubergines.
Fear. I don't need that many whoppingly hot chilies. Just one. I'm not growing it probably. I'm probably not going to eat them, to be fair. So I'm just growing it for the excitement of growing it and the danger, but not. It's not going to be a massive crop for me. I like hot chilies, but there's a limit there.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it's not for me. It's not like, I think there's one, JB, I can't remember what it's called. Something Jigsaw.
Yeah. So I think we're both doing two of the Jigsaw varieties this year, which I've never done before. So there's the Bleeding Jigsaw and the Chili Chump Jigsaw Brain. That's what he's called it, which is one of his crosses that he's developed, which is the Bleeding Jigsaw cross with a Naga Brain, I think.
Looks a hideous looking thing anyways, you know what I mean? And Jess, that's exactly mine. They'll probably not even get touched. Do you know what I mean? It'll kind of, I'll say I've had one. Oh, yeah, but I'll probably not even go near him, you know what I mean?
No, well, I sowed it, because, I couldn't find the seed for those.
That's right.
Late, and I sowed all my other ones by licking my finger and putting the seed in the compost. And I can tell you the second one, and that was just the dried seed.
Oh yeah.
No, I think that's probably also why I only sowed 2. I was like, hell.
Yeah, you got to be careful with those super hot seeds.
Yes, I'm going to change my chili sowing strategy next year.
Jimmy, where do we come then in the time zone to start feeding them? If anyone's following along and that.
Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up.
Leave it there. Leave it there.
Yeah. So, generally, I do my first potting mix. When I go from the seed cells to the first pots, that's when I do my potting mix. And the potting mix that I follow, the recipe is Chili Chumps. It's the one he spent like a decade coming up with, basically. And in that, he puts fertilizer in the potting mix. So a bit of blood, fish, and bone. The ratios are in a video somewhere. And strictly speaking, once you've done that, you shouldn't need to feed for about 6 weeks. If you've got good growth, if the plants are looking healthy and everything's, hunky-dory. And then by the time that feed is kind of running out, you're looking at repotting again and refreshing it. So I don't really do any liquid fertilizer for my peppers until it's flower time, until they've been in their final pots, right into summer. Once they've been in their final pots for a good kind of normally 4 weeks. And then I start getting on the proper heavy duty liquid feeds.
Are you, Jess, like a feeder with your chilies?
No. I was just thinking.
Took a while to just crank it.
I was trying to work out if that dog was here or if it was somewhere else. My next door neighbour's just got a dog, so I was like,
babysitting again. Oh my goodness!
I've got 4 of them, and I can hear them all just sitting outside there. Do you know what I mean? But it's the little one that, when I was talking to on Friday or whenever I recorded with Ben Van Heems, I actually had to stop the video and say, Ben, just a minute. Do you know what I mean? I kind of, well, yeah, shut up, man. You know what I mean? The kind of very annoying things, but
yeah. But I was just going to ask. So, like, obviously, I've potted mine onto this size.
Way too early. But go on, I'll let you off.
Way too early. Massive mess up. But I didn't put any extra fertilizer in this soil because I thought they were too small. Is that the right thing to have done?
It's probably sensible, yeah. And it depends on what potting mix you're using or what compost even. So the chili chunk mix and the recipe that I kind of base everything off is based on just compost, which naturally has like a good amount of feed for a plant anyway. And then the bloodfish and bone really is just like a bit of supplementing, a bit of longevity to it. And Silvergrow has Osmocote in it, as you know. So there's a bit of fertilizer in there. They're going to be fine, really.
Okay.
I would suggest.
I thought about it, and then I was like, I just think they're too small to deal with it.
Yeah. The main kind of philosophy behind feeding less rather than more is that you want to promote the root growth. You want them searching through the soil to build a nice big network of roots. So right at the end of the season, when you go, right, here's all your feed, there's a massive, massive root ball that's ready to properly absorb it all, rather than, having a pot that's half full of roots, some kind of weak roots that aren't going to take it all up. And so that's kind of important for watering as well. But it seems to work quite well and really promotes that root growth.
I got, JB, I can't remember the name now, like a bottle of chili feed, like chili pepper. Can you remember what it was called?
Chili Focus.
Focus, that's it. Well, good lad. That's why you were top of class. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why I wasn't allowed to take maths and English. I don't think Tony's kidding. No, he doesn't have to. He can do music. So is that, like you say, at the end then, using that stuff right at the end when you hopefully got big root ball, give them a good
exactly,
feed?
Yeah.
So what about, because we're using quad growers, the A and B feed, would that be any good or?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, once again, it's really focused on the P and the K side, the flowering stages of growth. If you don't pick it up again, if you do see that there are signs that maybe the compost or your potting mix or your growing media, whatever you're using, is deficient, then liquid seaweed feed is a really good shout. It's nice and balanced, so it's not going to make your plants start flowering. If you feed them with something that's too heavy in the flowering fertilizer and the flowering feeds, then they might start producing flowers much earlier than you want. The early stages, you want vegetative growth and root growth, so that at the end, when you finally go, okay, it's time for flowering and it's time to make me a crop, they can efficiently put all of their energy into that.
So that's then, JB, going flying against the quad grow thing then, because they're saying, I think, I'm just saying for chilies, but let's say for tomatoes, like give it 6 weeks to use the compost feed that's in a one, and then start, filling them reservoirs full of, water and the A and B, fertilizer feed. So
yeah, no, it's not. I don't think that they suggest feeding right away. I could be wrong. I've not looked at the manuals.
Let's say leave it for a while because it's, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I would do the same thing with the quad grows. Once mine go in the quad grows or auto pots or whatever, you kind of dial up the feed very slowly. So at the first, they might be 2 or 3 weeks without any feed, and then because it's a slightly smaller pot than normal, well, depending, then you start to amp the feed up. But I don't go full strength straight away. The first ones are a little bit lighter, and you're still hoping to promote the root growth. And then after kind of 6 weeks, it's like, yeah, all right, let's go. And then you give it the full whack of feed. You don't even need to feed. If you've got a really nice compost and it's like fertile, you can just leave them and let them get the nutrients, macro and micro, from the compost. You'll just get a smaller crop.
Audrey, is that ringing any bells for you then, the feed? Do you, because if I'm right in thinking you plant yours outside?
I do, in a raised bed,
mm-hmm.
and I water them every 2 weeks with diluted seaweed feed, fish emulsion, whatever. And they do fine. I know, JB, you're like a student of the pepper.
I like that.
I don't think any of that. And I do start feeding them when they're inside. Because I figured they're in this for a long time. They're going to need something. So I give them, again, diluted fish feed. It's I kind of treat them almost like everything else, which I know there's a whole thought about keeping them kind of pot bound a little bit and letting them stress a little bit with water. I don't know that I do that, but they've always done fine. So I guess that's why I've never felt the need. I honestly, I get more peppers than I'll ever use. And I'll show you my counters filled with mason quart jars filled with all kinds of dried peppers that I wonder if we'll ever use them.
Mine, it's that saying that if it isn't broke, don't fix it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what because I know what kind of sun they like and where they like it in the garden. I always make sure they're in those areas, and I just let them do their thing.
Do they go back, Audrey? Do they go back into the same beds? Like there's no crop rotation or anything like that?
I don't rotate religiously. It's more like, how am I laying out the garden this year? So this is where you guys are going. But this year I'll move them. They were in our front bed at the back of our garage. I'm going to move them to the back bed just to give them a little change up. But they're going to do just as fine there. So yeah, I just don't know if it's our season. The way you guys have this lovely long spring. We don't have spring. We go from winter to summer. We have spring for like a week, and then we're in summer. So they get their heat pretty quickly.
Yeah. They whenever I see peppers that are grown across the pond, it's just crazy. I mean, you can get, if you're in America, you can get much, much bigger plants than you can in the UK, I think.
Yeah, they almost are at a point where I want to start cutting them, like topping them off, because I don't want them that big. I know you're
never getting to that position. You know what I mean? It's like my hair. I don't want to cut it too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but once I put the irrigation in, oh my gosh, they were just so happy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think one thing I was going to touch on, Audrey, you mentioned about stressing a little bit, and I think when I first started, I took that advice maybe a little bit too much, like too literally, and I would stress them way too much to the point where they weren't just doing a little bit of wilting. They looked like they were on the verge of death. Sometimes that was intentional, sometimes it was accidental. But as I've grown more and more, I've realized that actually, historically, I've probably been underwatering them quite a lot. And actually, they do appreciate water. And seeing the ones, excuse me, that are in quad grows and auto pots that have like access to water pretty much the whole time.
Right.
Oh, no.
Oh
no, is my audio okay?
It's not your audio, it's your video. It wouldn't be the same without you, JB, losing your webcam.
It's just software. It's very strange.
It's not software. It's that 20-year-old camera you're using.
Give it a second.
There we go. Oh, there you are again.
Wait for it.
So, JB, when you go and I don't know if you can still hear it. Can you hear us still?
Yeah, I'm still here. The camera's just having a moment.
So obviously, you don't then stress out your seedlings. What you're just saying there, because we're at that we're all at this kind of seedling stage at the moment. So, do we just keep on watering when they look dry?
Yeah, absolutely. The seedlings are a lot more delicate. You still want to practice some of the stuff that we're talking about. So bottom watering, making sure that the roots are looking for water and looking for nutrients. And they don't like to be too wet. You know, it is good to practice a little bit of a wet dry cycle with the babies. But yeah, avoid stress at this early stage for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I've got as well, then, Jibby, you know, like we mentioned about, I've kind of put some lights in there now as well. So what about seedlings with lights? Do we just, I know it's a hard one to kind of just, do we just see what they look like and then move the lights up, or do you have them close down to the leaves, or?
Yeah, so my go-to thing with light is it's better to give them not quite enough and end up with some slightly leggy plants that are looking for the light, rather than the other way around, where you blast them with too much and then cause them damage that they've got to recover from. It's much easier to get a little bit leggy and then you can just plant them deep. In episode 2 of the guides, I was showing you get the roots that come off the stem in the same way that you do with tomatoes with young chili seedlings. Not every variety, but a lot of them will give you, I can't remember, adventitious roots that will come out. So if you do get pepper plants that are a little bit leggy, you just plant them deep and they'll be fine.
That's a good tip, that, because I guess northeast of England, you know, you do get like leggy plants anyways, you know what I mean? So tomatoes is like mentioned, it's get them in deep and then you've got more chance of getting them secondary roots going on. It's just, do you do that practice anyways with, are most of your seedlings okay, don't need to be planted deep?
I don't have much of a problem with tomatoes, just because I sow them quite late. So, and then it's sunny by then, as long as we don't have a pants year. But I do sow, because my sister starts her tomato plants off so early. Hers are like all in and going away now.
Is it all sowed already?
Wow.
Yeah, but she has the space, so it's not that much of a problem. Like for her, she's got the space. I can't do it because I don't have the space. And when I get hers, because we do like, you know, swapping various varieties and stuff, as she grows some of the ones I want to grow and vice versa. Ta-da!
Hey.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes. I do have to plant hers quite deep because they've got leggy. You can really see the difference. But
mine, I'll probably be, I know we're kind of talking tomatoes there, but I'm aiming for maybe the second week in March, possibly the third week in March, when I'm going to sow mine. And I do know though, Audrey, just the Brad's Atomic seem to take a while to ripen. The fruit comes, but that fruit takes a while to ripen. So maybe I actually haven't got it. Audrey, I haven't got any Brad's Atomic seed, I don't think, to be honest.
You sent it all. You probably gave it out to everybody. Didn't you have a ton of it last year? I'll send you some. I've got to send some of the Tim's Paradise too.
Oh,
I told you I'd send you those, JB, didn't I? I have to get that going. Anything you need, Jess.
It's a ritual. We'd do it just to keep Audrey happy, because you know what I mean.
I'm sure she's so grateful.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a little gift that comes from America. There, it's lovely.
It's like Christmas.
So I'm just what else I was thinking about with the chilies, JB, is just, do we look out for, because I'm hoping to God I don't, you know, like, it's not bad enough having like tiddly little things, but pests, what
Good question, right? So I've got another prop. It's caught. So one thing to watch out for with chilies and young chilies is if you've overwintered anything indoors, like this tomato from the side shoots.
Say that looked like a tomato to me.
Yeah. But because I've overwintered this, before I started my seedlings, I went through it like with literally, I'm not joking when I say a magnifying glass. I have a little hand lens for botany, and I check this thing religiously for aphids or any kind of pests, because the number one thing to watch out for with peppers at this early stage is aphids. They love peppers. It's definitely the main issue I have. You might have a few more across the pond. I don't know, Audrey, but if you're starting them indoors, generally you should be aphid free. There's a chance there might be some aphid seeds in your compost or your soil, but I've never had that. It's always been, if I've had my seedlings near things that I've overwintered, where I've brought aphids into the house. If they're in the greenhouse or they're out, then you're much more likely to get them on. But it's because it's the early start of the season. There's no aphid predators, so you're kind of creating an artificial environment, for your seedlings. That's what we do with the light and the heat. The seedlings think it's spring; they don't know, but it means that there's no predators. There's no predators for aphids naturally. There's not going to be any in your house, so their population can just absolutely explode. And if you've got little aphids on your, like a small aphid population now, then in 3 weeks from now, it will have just multiplied by 100.
Whole darn thing.
So if someone, JB, has aphids, but they actually don't see the aphid, what's a good telltale sign, or Audrey, what's a good telltale sign that your plant could have aphids on them?
Well, it looks like spider webs to me. Don't they make I've always seen kind of a web, and then there's just the little white aphids on there. But I have more of a problem with fungus gnats. Didn't have any last year. This year, so I have the sticky yellow sheets of death up, and they're getting covered with the fungus gnats. I don't know if those help with aphids. I'm not sure they would.
Yeah, probably not so much.
But I usually see a telltale, it's not actually spider web. It's much kind of thicker. I don't know how to describe it. But then you'll see the little. But I have not. I'd had aphids once on a house plant, but I've never had it on any of my. And I just took it outside and, let it recover.
That's my problem, Audrey, is that in the conservatory down here, we've got a money plant, and all those kind of things in there. And that's part of the reason that I've got these up here this year, because it's just instant. Like anything down there, they're just living in there waiting for you to bring something tasty into the conservatory.
Yes.
And they're on it in a flash. Yeah.
So where they're staying then, Jess, in your houseplants? Are they staying on your houseplants, or are they in the soil, or?
Well, that money plant hasn't been potted up for about 40 years, so there's not a great deal of soil for anything to be living in. But they just live all underneath the little, they got those really big fleshy leaves.
Mm-hmm.
If you kind of move them around, there's just a lot of things living in there waiting. Because they come in over winter, because that conservatory, it was intentional. It's not quite that ropey, but the ceiling doesn't meet the walls. There's a gap, which we shove bits of pipe insulation in to block. But it does mean that it's quite free flowing for things to come in from the garden, and it's warmer. So we get a lot of things in there that you wouldn't. I don't get up here. I'm touch wood. So far, there's been nothing on any of these, but.
Well, touch wood, it hasn't happened to me in all the times I haven't had a pest kind of hit them.
I don't have any wood around me. I don't know what I get to touch. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna hope I don't get them.
Is there anything else then, JB, that can come as it is aphids the number one?
Yeah, aphids and fungus gnats are the number one I've ever had to deal with. Spider mites now are terrifying for me, because I had a big outbreak of spider mites in the greenhouse.
Oh, you did, didn't you? Was that last year, was it?
Yeah, and they're going to be in there now. I'm just kind of expecting to try and manage their populations a little bit. That's kind of what I do with aphids. I live with aphids. The greenhouse is going to come the windows open, and it's free for things to come and go. But later on in the season, aphid populations are also hit by the predators. So spider mite, trying to encourage natural predators, is really difficult. But there's humidity and other things you can try. So that'll be an exciting challenge this year. Yeah. But if you do see don't. I was going to show it again. If you do see aphids, the place to look for them is on the new tiny baby leaves. And if you're not too squeamish, the best thing to do is just squish them, to be honest, at this early stage. It's not going to get rid of every last one, because you only need one to survive to then have hundreds, but it'll keep the populations down. And they're sap suckers, so if there's only a few burrowing into your plants, it's not the same as if there's hundreds. But it's not nice.
What about then, Jimmy, if someone is not kind of into the organic way, could they use a pesticide, or one of the kind of shop board bottle sprays?
You can. I don't like...
We're talking about seedlings at the moment.
Yeah, I don't like to use anything like that on seedlings because they're so sensitive. So I use neem oil quite a lot later on in the season, but once again, I'm just scared to use it with seedlings, things that haven't hardened off. Like they're very susceptible to a relatively small amount of damage, proportionally as a large amount of damage to their leaves or their root system. So they're just a lot more sensitive. I think one of the best things you can do with aphids is just like blast them with a hose if you can. There are like normal like bug sprays and stuff that will kill aphids. You can do soap
if I blasted that thing, it would, you know what I mean? I'd just lose it.
That's not quite a seedling. That's like pre-seedling.
It's not even a
That's on life support.
There's 4 leaves there. Don't knock it. Don't knock that big boy. I mean, it's nice doing like the chilies like once a month because it gives you like next month. You know what I mean? So and it's good probably like don't tell where, you know what I mean, Jimmy? Like don't keep on. It's nice to kind of get a surprise, So I'm hoping maybe the surprise next year is they haven't moved since, you know what I mean? Like,
you never know. You never know.
I'm only jealous. I'm just very jealous, very jealous. Hey, well, listen, top of the hour, man, sharp come round. Audrey, have you got anything else to say there about chilies? Is there anything we need to know from the...
Grow what you like to use or eat. So
I would, when you say that, I would like to kind of, obviously not eat the hot ones, but really dry out some hot ones to make some, like
chili powder or
flakes. That's my kind of goal.
Little word of warning: if you do try that, maybe put the dehydrator where people aren't going to mind it being on, because if you put it in the kitchen, it will choke out your whole house.
All right, so you even get that in the...
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
right.
It becomes very airborne.
Right.
Also, if you're making chili powder, make sure that your spice grinder or grinder that you're using has got some kind of easy release, because mine, you have to pull the lid off with gusto, and it just, like, you just get like a death cloud comes over the kitchen. I'm looking at, if anybody's got any suggestions for a spice grinder that doesn't do that, let me know, because
I don't know that there is such a thing.
Even with like the jalapenos or whatever, it is proper like choking.
Do you let it rest? I let it rest for a minute after I've done that. Just let it all settle down.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you don't still get a cloud, but it's not quite the same as when you open it and it's all...
Yeah.
It seems to have some sort of like vacuum seal on mine, so when you pull it off, it goes. Right.
Now I've been pre-grinding mine in the food processor just to get them so that my poor little spice grinder doesn't.
That's a good idea.
It's a lot of peppers to powder up.
Yeah, my grinder's like quite small. You can only fit about kind of 10 peppers in there when they're quite big. So pre-grinding sounds like a good idea.
There we go then. Well, another chili one is...
I did want to add one thing, Tony.
Go on then.
I wanted to pass on a massive congratulations on hitting 40,000 subscribers.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you very much. Oh, yeah.
I want to say I knew you when.
Mine, it's Potty as well. Kind of jumped up there. So it's very nice. Very nice.
I think I found you when you had like 3,000 subscribers. So it's been a minute.
Oh no, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I mentioned this, I always mention in the comments, thumbs up. Everyone that's watching live, anybody, thumbs up, give her a thumbs up, because it always helps the old algorithm, as they say. JB, where can we find Naturally JB?
You can find Naturally JB on YouTube and Instagram.
And speaking of kind of you've been doing some amazing kind of chili teaching, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
thank you very much. I thought I'd finally try and condense it all into one guide video instead of little tips throughout 30-minute chili tours where I'm eating peppers and doing all sorts of other stuff.
Well, JB, it's appreciated, so keep them coming, lad.
Thank you very much.
Gesso, where can we find you?
Not Gesso. Don't go looking for Gesso. It's normally got an IE on the end of it. Plot 37.
There you go. Thank you very much, Jessie. Always a pleasure. Audrey, I can see there, Real Food Comes Dirty. Any more videos from yourself?
Hopefully later today.
Oh.
But I think, maybe I will post it for tomorrow, though. But
just post it. If it's there, post it.
You keep saying that, but
then you can kind of think of,
YouTube says, no, this is not the ideal time to post. And I can't stop looking at that stuff. I'm sorry. I'll try to do it. I'll try to post it quickly. Big
thank you to all three of you there for turning up and rocking the day's chili.
Oh, it's fun.
See everybody. Take good care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.